This watch that I've got here in my hands is from France. And because of its design language and its individuality, it's not copying anything else. I think this is something we should be looking into as watch enthusiasts because it's different. And that's a good thing because in this day with so many watches looking the same, we're always looking for something different. Now it's not all roses guys because it's not an inexpensive watch, it's actually not cheap. And although in my eyes I think that could do a little bit better, for some reason it doesn't limit the amount of sales that this company produces. These watches still seem to fly off the shelf, go figure. And I'm talking in Paris, in France, because the market for this watch is predominantly France and Europe. And as far as we're concerned, it's only been the last couple of years that the rest of us have really been paying attention, or even heard of this brand. So without further ado, let's flip the camera, let's check out this brand new offering from March LAB. It's a stainless steel sports watch, it's a GMT, and it costs a packet. Let's check it out. Now this is the third watch that I'm reviewing from March LAB, and the overall design is unique to this brand. They've got a specific DNA signature that's truly just theirs. And for those who know the brand, they instantly recognize their watches. You can't mistake this for any other brand. And that's a good thing, especially in today's day and age when all watches are looking the same, which is refreshing to see in a brand. Now I did mention that the watch is a little bit expensive, and it is. And looking at the website, this watch comes in at around $3,060 on a stainless steel bracelet. They also offer it on a silicone strap, which is around $2,700. Now that's Australian dollars, so convert that to your own currency, but that's not inexpensive by any means. But putting that aside, that has not stopped this brand from selling watches. It's got quite a huge market in France and Europe. Now it's not all roses because apart from the price, there's a couple of niggles that I have on this particular model, which I'll share with you guys, because after experiencing the watch on the wrist, this watch would really benefit from some tweaks. Now you saw the pop-up, March LAB has sponsored this video, so I will of course leave a link in the description section. If this watch interests you, feel free to check them out. And diving straight into the specs of the watch, being a square watch, I measure a case width of 38.4 and a lug to lug of 44mm. That case height comes in at 12.5 and a lug width of 22. The crown is a 7.4mm signed screw down crown. The watch offers 100 meters of water resistance. And the total weight on the bracelet, sized to my 18cm wrist, I measure exactly 138 grams. And on the bracelet, the watch has been extremely comfortable. I have zero complaints regarding comfort. Now I do have an issue with the bracelet itself because the clasp has been a bit of a nightmare to get on and off the wrist. It is fiddly at best, and it does require quite a bit of patience. But I'll share more about that in my gripe section. Looking at the height of the watch on the wrist, it's 12.5mm. But visually it does look a little bit bigger. And that's because that case shape is square. Now if you've ever owned or worn a Tag Monaco, you'll know what I mean. Because a Tag is around 39mm and they usually come in around 14.5mm or thereabouts. Nonetheless, if I turn my attention to that dial, you can see there's very good attention to detail. There's a 24-hour scale, there's a green accent on that GMT hand, and being a cordless GMT, if I pull that crown out to the first position, turning it clockwise adjusts the quick set date, and for those who know this brand, when you get to the third day of the month, that date turns green. And that's a nice little touch and nuance that this brand has been doing from the beginning. If I turn the crown anti-clockwise, it allows you to adjust that green tip GMT hand. So functionality wise, the watch has been doing well, it's been easy to read and easy to operate. If I turn the watch over, there is this brand's signature green sapphire crystal. It's on quite a few of their watches, and again, that's a nice touch. And behind that case back is an automatic GMT caliber La Joux G110. It has around 68 hours of power reserve. This one's been running accurately, albeit occasionally you might experience some rotor noise. Nothing major, but just mentioning it for you guys nonetheless. Although I've had difficulties wearing this watch, or should I say getting the watch on and off the wrist with that bracelet, the comfort has been great. And this watch does come on a silicone strap, however there wasn't one in the package, so I decided to put it on an AUTOMATIQUE strap. And straight away, the bonding experience became a lot more easier. The comfort's good, the look is good, this March LAB has settled onto the wrist nice and easy. Looking at the lume of the watch, the handset is the only part of the watch that offers lume. The previous titanium model that I reviewed really had broken up lume. It wasn't that good. And on this model, they seem to have improved its consistency. However, don't expect the lume to last any decent amount of time. It really does fade quickly. Is it important for a watch like this to have lume? Well, you know what? It's probably better just to omit it altogether. I did mention that I was going to share whatever room for improvement I've found on this watch, and for me, there's a couple of areas I want to speak into. And first and foremost, that case height. The dimensions only state 12.5mm, but it does look a little bit chunky on the wrist. And that's only because we're dealing with a square-shaped watch. And as I mentioned, for those Tag Heuer fans, if you've owned or ever worn a Monaco, you'll know what I mean. They come in at 14.5mm or thereabouts, and for a square-shaped watch, it does wear bigger. Next room for improvement for me is that clasp. It's something that I do not like at all. I've mentioned it in the previous review with the titanium watch. I'm mentioning it again on this one. It's relatively easy to get on, but getting it off is a problem. Because doing this on the wrist and trying to get this off and trying to get your wrist out of there, it's quite awkward. And it really does test your tolerance and your limits of patience. So my honest suggestion here is redesign an entirely new clasp. Even a butterfly clasp would have been preferable for me here. Albeit some sort of micro adjustment would of course be ideal. Since we're on the room for improvement section, I did mention that the watch and all their watches are quite expensive, and it doesn't seem to stop their watch's ability to fly off the shelves. In Europe, in France, so I suppose if the demand is there, then they probably don't need to change anything in that department. But for us, who are looking at a watch like this on this side of the pond, I think it's priced a little bit too steep, and a few dollars off would have really been welcomed here. And lastly, I really would have loved to see a Traveler's GMT in this watch, especially at this price point. But on a positive note, guys, I do like the design elements of this watch. It's got excellent attention to detail. The fact that they offer a green date wheel on the third day of the month is a nice unique touch. That 4 o'clock signature style customized crown. It's a screw down crown, it's got a gear shaped pattern. All of their watches feature that. The green sapphire exhibition case back, accompanied by that unique case shape. I think this brand is doing something very unique and very different, and in that regard I have to give them high praise. So let me know your thoughts, guys, about this watch or this brand. For me, I'm always looking out for watches that are different and are not copying other brands. And this particular watch might not be to everyone's cup of tea, but the proof is in the pudding. There's definitely a market for this, and a very healthy one at that. So thanks for watching, be well, be safe, enjoy the watch that you're currently wearing. Don't spend too much money on this hobby, and we'll see you in the next one.